No, it's just those chairs. Just walk around that way.
3 YouTubers simultaneously making 3 YouTube videos. Tara from Tactical Camper and Dan, the Off-Grid Norseman. We're going to talk about the joys of, I don't know, what was it? The joys of living outside of the system. And this is Lil, Dan's partner. It's probably just like Philip Schofield before an episode of This Morning, isn't it? It's just, hang on guys, let me just skin up.
He's probably sniffing coke more than
skinning
up, isn't he? He's got to pop to the bathroom.
And Holly Willoughby's there like, Phil, do you have to do this every fucking time, you and your goddamn class A's?
I'll tell you what, it'd probably make me watch daytime TV if that was the case.
Do you know what really pisses me off? The only reason I know anything about Good Morning is because they have people on to debate interesting stuff. Like they'll have the men who believe the earth is flat, but on YouTube, right, they put all their stuff, but comments are always disabled.
Yes.
What is up with that?
I know, they do that a lot. Yeah, I think it's
every
because,
video. You can't.
I think it's because of the amount of people that would watch it, and they would get so much like hate for the things.
Look, one of the good things about YouTube is the fact that you can be there watching something, and obviously you can't do this with TV at all, and you can have your say right there in the moment.
I don't
you
think
can
they want
give your opinion. They don't want
That's
it
called
because
freedom of speech. You can't have that.
They don't want it because they're a flipping TV show. They want you to. What do they want you to do? Like stop watching YouTube and come and watch them on TV? That's not going to happen.
Probably, because then you have to pay the TV.
That's it. That's it.
They're all in it together.
Right.
Turn your comments on Good Morning TV, whoever you are. Philip Schofield.
Right, ready?
Yeah.
Cool.
Where do I put this? I put this down here.
Right, guys. I'm Off-Grid Norseman, and I'm joined here with these guys. So.
All right, I'm Jason. I'm running the My Frequencies channel. I've been living off-grid, stealth off-grid, illegal stealth off-grid, in just a bit of random local woodland not far from where I grew up, and I've been there for something like 15 months I think now.
Okay, so my name's Tara, aka Tactical Camper, aka Nage a Rat on Facebook. I've been wild camping, if you like, and a bit of a nomadic style, living that way for the last 5 years. I've done this country, and I've done Spain and Holland and a little bit of Belgium.
So you've been about a bit?
I've been about a bit. I do it on a very tight budget. Sometimes I have money, sometimes I don't. I've worked it out now where I've got £30 a week, but I have to supplement that by trapping and foraging in order to.
Which you're very good at.
Yeah, well, I'm quite good at it. Yeah, I'm getting there. 5 years now of practice. I'm working it out.
So you've been 5 years. You've been doing it for 5 years. How long have you been doing yours now?
I think I started digging and building in the summer of 2017.
So this will be your second year from finding the location to where you are now. Yeah,
because I was living in town, and you know, living in my friend's spare bedroom, and it was the rent and particularly it was the council tax and stuff that was bothering me. I knew I couldn't really continue paying into that system with the values I was developing at that time. So yeah, but it took me a long time to dig and build and get it to a livable situation, and it wasn't actually livable until early 2018. That's when I went out there.
Which would be your year, a full year.
Yeah, that's
pretty
it.
much. Because we didn't know, I don't think. I think they got to a point where nobody really knew what you were up to. We just thought you were going home. And then a YouTube video popped up one day, and he sent a link and was like, check this out, and everyone was like, what have you been doing? Like, he's just gone out and
the secret mole.
Yeah, like literally it was.
I got serious at that point.
Yeah,
when I put up those front pillars and put the log roof on, I was like, holy shit, I could actually live here.
Yeah, and
initially I was just going for some sort of refuge, but it evolved, and I thought, yeah, I could definitely live here if I put.
See, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the difference, isn't it? Because you've got a permanent spot that you can't move that.
Nope.
That's staying there now, and you could go away, return, and it will be there as you've left it, give or take the age of time, etc., etc. Whereas yourself, you are not permanent. You're not sitting around idly. you are constantly on the move every few weeks, every month.
There's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, I don't have to do the whole challenging with the land thing if I am discovered, because I'm quite happy to move around.
And in 5 years, of course, there's a better chance of you getting discovered in this, because I mean, Stu's only been doing this now for a year, so he's not been in and out, in and out, in and out as much. If he had been doing this for 5 years, that's a long time.
And you're constantly going to and fro from the same spot. Eventually, you're going to get sussed, and then you've got to do the whole challenge thing. See, for me, I get bored very easily of my same scenery. Also, with the whole foraging and trapping, sometimes, and with firewood, resources can get low.
Resources, yeah.
So most of the time that I'm moving, it's not because I'm being moved on. It's because I'm just bored, or the resources are depleting, and I'm moving because of that.
Yeah, you've got to move with the herd, so they say, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
you've got to go where the food is.
I actually enjoy that. I enjoy the moving. I get why people like to be static, but for me, that's just, the boredom will overtake me. So.
That's it. See, that's where I'm at. I'm very much permanent, because obviously I never challenged the system in a way in the beginning to say I'm going to go out and do it.
Yeah.
To begin with, I started off as the average day Joe who said, you know, I want to go out and have a nice little off-grid home, and I was happy to continue working, paying the taxes. I was completely oblivious, completely unaware of what was happening out there. So I brought the land legitimately, and I think now, if I had become aware before I bought the land, I would have done exactly what either of you had done.
Oh, you don't think you'd have bothered?
No. I wouldn't have bought. No, I don't think I would have done it. I had to buy the land to become aware. I had to buy the land for all the fuckery to come to me.
It was when you found that you couldn't just set up on a. Like, I've got the land, I've got the caravan, put the caravan on the land. It makes sense.
And
like someone comes along and goes, hang on a minute, we've got rules that say you can't do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, despite the fact that you own it.
Exactly. So then that tipped the scales for me to then say, well, do you know what? If I can't be blatant and obvious about it, I'm going to have to take a leaf out of, you know, a few nomadic ideas, a few sort of stealth ideas, and obviously that's where you guys have both been really encouraging, because I think I've been doing this is my second year now, so I think what's happened with me now is I've got very used to the tent. And I was always a little bit worried about, the tent's a bit worrying, but you've been doing that for 5 years, so now I'm not going to be in a position where I don't need to rush into something that's permanent.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to rush.
The worst case scenario for you is living in a bell tent, and that's absolutely fine.
Exactly.
The worst case scenario for me is if I get discovered, I'm basically back living with mum and dad.
Or on the streets if that's not an option, I suppose.
My worst case scenario if I get discovered is I get another great view.
Yeah, and you move on. Yeah, absolutely, you move on.
And you know what? I've never had any trouble being moved on either. People have always been really polite. I think there's a few reasons for that. First of all, when I poke my head out of the tent, they realise it's actually just a tiny, unintimidating woman.
Yes.
And they're often, especially if I've got a fire pit going on and I've got like my wash bucket and stuff set up, you'll always get a little bit of. They're impressed, basically, that somebody of me,
especially
because
they're not really going to give you much stick when you've obviously sitting there with a knife and a squirrel hanging from the tree, sort of like, you know.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I've never been caught in that situation. So
but that's the beauty. That's what I think. That's what I find so inspiring. Is the fact that, because that was, to begin with, that was my idea. I said to begin with, in the first 3 months, I found it quite hard. We'd gone through a lot of resources, and I said, you know, this isn't going to work unless we go out and forage and we hunt. And then, of course, like you say, you've got to move with the herd. You have to keep constantly looking for the resources, especially with the seasons as well.
And also, with things like squirrels, I find that if you've been trapping squirrels in the same spot for a while, they get very clever. Yeah. And it only takes one squirrel to suss it out, and they teach all the other squirrels how to work it out.
That's where I got to, where I thought to myself, I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to go out and trap, and I'm going to have to go out and hunt, which could have meant going further afield, and we discussed it here, where I would go out for a couple of days, move out with the tent, with a littler tent, go away, bring the food back. Yeah. And then it got to a point where more and more stuff here was taking precedence, because obviously you have the advantage where you're not static.
Yeah.
So you can move on, you can go to the places. With me here constantly, it was always building a toilet, building something, building this, doing that, there and then. I didn't have time to say, right, every 2 or 3 days I'll go off for a week for the sake of coming back maybe with a couple of rabbits or a pheasant. It just wasn't feasible. Now it's evolved since meeting obviously you guys, and I can see we're not alone in this. There are a lot of people out there that want to do this, but they can't. Some, they don't have the guts to say, fuck the job, fuck the taxes, I'm going to go out, find a piece of land and dig a hole. And some people think, you know, if I go out and live in a tent in the woods, I'm surely going to die. So it's like they get put off from it. So I was in a position where I thought to myself, do you know what I need to do? I need to offer that first step.
Yeah.
If somebody could give up what they have and then come here and do it for a year and then realise, you know what, I can do this. See you later, guys. I'm going to go nomadic as yourself, and they've gone. Or they want to stay and be a part of this community and then do as you have done here, where they've put themselves in a permanent position which isn't on their land. So they still take the risk, but there's less of a risk. It's like a stepping stone.
Yeah,
and I think, considering I own the land and it didn't work out for me, now that I have this network of people and the knowledge I have now, we can make it work for other people where we failed before, or where I failed before.
Yeah.
You know, because we know the steps that them out there will take in order to.
And I can't help wondering if there's more people out there living our ways, but are not exposing it and not making it public. And if there are anybody out there that are living this way and not exposing it, I would really encourage you to.
Yes,
because
definitely.
It helps to have contacts. So, for example, if one of us have a situation where the proverbial's hitting the fan, we can make a call or get online.
And this has happened, hasn't it? I mean, I've had times when I've needed people here. One of the most recent was when the roof collapsed, and we were in a bit of dire straits. And it was literally, Stu was there within 24 hours with the drill, bam, done. And we couldn't do that, and we needed that, you know. And I can, like you say, only imagine how many people are out there now, and they're like, I just want a pair of hands.
His roof's collapsing and they haven't got the contact.
Exactly. Which, I mean, that, and I suppose that goes down to why they're doing it, doesn't it? Because, you know, many people sometimes, like yourself, they like the solitude, they like to go out, and they don't want to be known. They want to be
It took me a little while to be encouraged to do the YouTube thing. In fact, it was yourself that sort of
he got me.
I think you had 6 subs when I first found your channel, and like a couple of videos, but.
Yeah, 124 I think I had the last time I looked, so
But I was curious, I was like, how little, you know, how independent are you, how little support are you doing? And then I saw the squirrel hunting video and I was like, damn, this woman's for real.
She's badass, badass. And of course this is the same woman that rode for 9 days across country to come here and do this video with us, so, well, not just that reason, but...
She's turned around and going back now.
Yeah, she's off now we've done this.
Not
Cheers for coming. But yeah, so I mean, like I was saying, it gets to a point where people do question why other people want to do this. Why are we doing this? Why do we want to give up all the luxuries and conveniences of modern day life? Why are we sacrificing that?
Life tastes better outdoors. Everything to do with life tastes better outdoors.
Was that your drive? Was it? Were you just? I need to be out there, away from.
When I have a happy moment, I always feel it more when I'm outside. You know, I always feel more overjoyed.
Is that the sole reason that you thought you didn't want these mod cons anymore because you could do it better?
Yeah, and get more.
You could look after yourself.
Yeah, more
you didn't
of
need a
buzz out of it.
babysitter.
It's like when I arrived here and I was mentioning about I need to wash my clothes, and someone said, "Oh, they've got access to a washing machine." I said, "No, I want my independent. I like to be able to do it myself. I get joy out of the process of doing it. You know,
it's like an energy exchange.
It is, yeah.
Because you didn't. That wasn't one of your reasons for getting out, was it?
Like the primary motivator that I could think that I was actually conscious of at the time, and I was thinking this is a practical idea that I need to do. It was getting out of paying council tax and getting out of paying rent as well.
The chains.
Yeah, because I've been doing the tax rebellion thing successfully for like 2 or 3 years or something, right? And that's been going over 4 years now. But the next step was the bills and the council tax, and you can't do that when you're living in someone's spare bedroom. So the choice was simple. It was either get my own place and then immediately write to the council and say I'm not paying for this stuff anymore, or it was to go and do it in the woods.
And then suffer the consequences for that, of course.
Yeah, deal with the bailiffs and all that.
Come round
you
in
know,
5 minutes.
But
threats and that.
You know, I had this other option offered to me, and it was going out in the woods. But
because they can't find you if they don't know
exactly.
where you are.
If you just don't have the address, you stop using the legal name, because none of us should be using the legal name that we would.
Because we've all actually changed our names, haven't we? Not legally through Depot or anything.
No, you don't.
But
that's not how you do it. You just change
our
your
names.
mind.
To introduce this properly, then what you would have to do is this is Jason from My Frequencies. Yeah. This is
Nagerat from.
It's Nagerat. Yeah. See, I always say, what do I call it? Naj. And obviously, I've changed my name to Raoul, which is obviously nicknamed now to the off-grid Norseman or Norseman. Yeah. And I don't think the only people that ever really call us by our names, I think you'd find, is family.
Well, I
isn't
don't
it?
mind. See, my first name is Tara, and I have no problem in anyone calling me Tara. In fact, you know, if you put your mind to it, you'll work out
Yeah,
that
yeah.
my Facebook name is just my name backwards.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about people knowing my name because I'm moving around
So
all the time.
yeah,
I don't care.
yeah.
It's of no consequence.
So you don't
to
introduce
me.
yourself as that. It's just your social media persona.
Yeah, it's just
sort
who
of.
I am. You know,
Yeah.
I am. My full name is Tara Egan. I ain't got no problem in anyone knowing that. Because, like I say, like, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
Come find me. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not around too much for anyone to keep
Yeah, I
up.
like it. Yeah, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that name that I was given at birth, my parents had no knowledge of what they
Yeah,
were doing, but
that's
they
where
put
I
it on
was
the
at.
birth
Exactly,
certificate.
yeah.
It was entered into the system. It's a legal persona.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm kind of working my way to completely dropping it, and along with
Yeah.
doing that, there's the psychological journey. I'm dropping all of my weaknesses,
You're becoming someone new.
all of my baggage. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm becoming this new thing.
And
I haven't
I'm
quite
hearing
got
this a
there.
lot with a lot of people that they've been stepping out of that box. They've been escaping that farm, and they have had this sort of moment where they've gone, that's not who I am, that's who I was.
Yeah.
Who I was, that's my farm name. That's sort of like the name that you get given.
Yes.
Cow, sheep, chicken. Whereas when you're free to choose what you want to be or who you want to be, you don't call yourself a sheep, you don't call yourself a chicken, you call yourself what feels right to you.
Yeah.
You know, so you change that name to try and let go of that old, and the more you let go of it, the easy. It's not trying anymore. It's just life. It just happens. It changes. Just
the name is important. What your name is.
I think the name is one of those biggest. They're the shackles. They are the biggest shackle to the system because
Yeah.
you've got the straw man attached to that, the legalese that all comes with it, the Mister, the Mrs, all
Yeah.
of that attached.
The thing is, when
you
they're
know?
right, when
the
they're
birth
right,
certificate as well, that's on
Yeah.
there. Anyways, not to go on too much of a tax rant. So you basically said, "Fuck you, you're not having my money no more," and now you don't give them your money anymore. Apart from obviously the obvious, which is like the VAT.
the VAT, yeah.
The VAT.
But you know, I acknowledge that there are some legitimate uses for tax money.
Absolutely. I've never been against paying tax per se. It's just paying for what they use it for. I'm
Yeah.
against, and this is where it got to me, where I was here, and they started the fuckery with me. And then I thought, I'm paying for this because I paid taxes, but it was also that my taxpayers' money paid for them to come out
And tell you
to
you
bully
can't
me
do-
off my land. And then obviously this is where I met Kate Burrows, and Kate Burrows was suffering the same. And I thought, my taxpayers' money is bullying her off her land. You know, it got to a point where I was like, enough's enough. There was no middle ground for me, where it got to a point where I was like, I'm paying for this. What do I do? It was a case of, fuck you, I ain't paying that no more. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to go, oh, but. It was like, no, it's not happening. I've paid for them to do this willingly and full of consent because I stayed silent, complied.
I suppose really for you, it's a bit of a bummer. They can't really send the bailiffs around. You've got nothing to take.
That's it. Because this is what happened the first time. The first time they came is they sent the bailiffs and they took
Really?
everything. They even took my shed.
Oh
They
yeah,
the
when
fences.
they smashed your
yeah,
stuff up.
yeah, they took the orchard. They pulled up all the flowers, all the plants.
Seriously,
Honestly,
they just destroyed your land.
They-
rather
and they
than-
billed me for it, £3,500, which I
They're
still.
supposed
For
to
the
be
work.
taking property.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be taking property to pay for the debt. So
Yeah, do you
how
know what?
does
I have the
destroying your
letter
land-
in my briefcase that says that all the items they took went to a landfill, which included things such as chainsaws, axes, a shed, garden gnomes they
But
took.
by that time, it had gotten personal.
Oh
hadn't
yeah,
it? It was
oh
done.
yeah.
God.
By then it
They were
got
out
to a
hurt
point.
you, weren't
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was an absolute vendetta because they realised that I wasn't going to back down. And then I got to this point where I said, again, there were other people out there that were suffering in the
Yeah.
same sort of way I was. So I reached out to them first. I reached out to them and said, there's a person like Kate Burrows, and she's obviously been doing this a while, or had been doing it a while in a mud hut, in a little hut in Devon, and she was suffering because of them. And I realised then that the reason they were getting away with it because she didn't have any numbers to stay there. Because I was so passionate about it. I was like, because I watched the lives and she was live feeding it. I was like, if I could, I would get there right now, right this second, because I know they're there. Just to be there and say, look, mate, leave her alone. She's a fucking, for want of a better word, and no offence to her at all, she's an older lady who is ill. and she's just wanting to live in peace, and they're harassing her.
Yeah.
If it had been some 6.5-foot man, and he was built like a brick shithouse, and they knew that he had a gun license with fucking rifles under his fucking caravan, chances are they wouldn't have even bothered.
They wouldn't have gone there.
They wouldn't have even fucking bothered, because they'd be like,
police.
yeah, they would have done something a bit more strategic to get work away.
They knew they were dealing with vulnerable,
quote-unquote
that's the thing.
But when they turn up at this lady's mad hut, I mean, surely straight away you can see that this person hasn't got the funds to pay you. I mean, why even bother? Why bother torturing somebody?
This is it.
Rules is rules. That's it. That's the attitude.
They're bullies. They're bullies, and all they want to do is assert their dominance and control. And I think for me,
no ends really, apart from ruining someone's life.
And for me, I think to myself, it's not just ruining her life or other people's lives or even my life. I'm an adult, I understand things change, and sometimes we can't get what we want. That's fair enough. But there are simple things in life that should not be illegal. You should not be criminalised for it. And when you are a child, and then if you have children, they don't understand why 1 minute there's a rope swing there or flowers that they can plant in the ground, and the next minute they're not allowed to do it. We shouldn't be teaching our children that it's okay for authorities to come in and remove these flowers, cut down the trees, because that's just the norm. The National Park Authority did not care that my daughter, who at the time was, I think was 6, was distraught. She was upset. They destroyed her. She planted those trees. She came here to water them as she did every weekend. They were gone. And she is a child and fully aware of what's going on.
The only thing they got out of that was to break a heart.
Yeah, many hearts, and this is what they're feeding on. They're feeding on that because they got the fear. Oh, if everybody fears them, then nobody else is going to do this. And I think this is why I wanted to do this video, because I wanted people to see that it's not all about the system and the confinements that they put you in, because there are people that are breaking free. There are people that are busting out.
So long as you stand your ground and you keep on fighting, they're fear-mongering. Eventually it slows down in the end because they've got other fish to fry.
Exactly.
There's other people to intimidate, you know.
Yeah. And once they realise that they
other
can't
people who haven't realised that they can just walk out, right? You
Yeah.
go for a period where you can be abused and you can be sort of almost like try to drag back in, but the further you go out, eventually you tune yourself to a different frequency where you're no longer a match for that
I'm
bullshit.
hoping that we're going to get the 100th monkey syndrome.
Yeah.
We were talking about this the other day, about how we all seem to have got a vibe around the same year, like about 5 years ago. We all started to sort of check out a bit. And whether that was on a mental or a physical level, there seems to have been an atmosphere about 5 years ago.
Yeah, because you said you've been doing this 5 years.
Yeah.
I got the land 5 years. So I've only been doing this for a year and a half now, and I started the camp 3 years ago. But 5 years ago was when it all started for me. And
Things
you said
really
about
shifted for me when we met in Swanage. It was when you and I met
and that
in
was about
Swanage.
5 years ago, wasn't it? Because I met you because of this. All the shit that happened
That's
to me.
right. You were in trouble for this, so you went to that same meeting.
Yeah, I went to the Lawful Rebellion because it was
the Lawful Collective.
Yep, who were promoting the
and
Lawful Rebellion.
They're still on Facebook. You can still check them out.
Are they still going? They are, yeah.
The page is still
and they were promoting the Lawful Rebellion, and I saw that as an opportunity to follow that path for the time being to hopefully secure this. That didn't happen. I didn't follow the Lawful Rebellion route in the end. I gave up on that because
there's a lot of truth in there.
It opened up the trust. I was meant to meet certain people who would then talk about the trust and how trusts work, which then opened up the door for me to then put my land in trust. So when the bailiffs did finally come and they did try to take the land for the money that I owed, they couldn't touch it, which is now still securely in trust now. They can't touch it. So I know from meeting obviously the guys from the Lawful Collective, that has definitely helped me here. But because it is in a trust and I know that it's safe, it would be selfish of me, I feel, to say, right, I'm a landowner, it's mine, close the gates, I've got my way, follow your idea, go stealth, I'm done, just me, my partner, my family, shut the gates, and then watch the world burn. Because as you've rightfully said, how many people are out there right now and they have no stepping stone? They can't get out, they're desperate. This is why it's great that there's 3 options now for people to take, and this is what I want, this is the point that I want to make, is that people that are putting this off, people that are, they're making excuses, for want of a better word, justifying why you can't do this. There are 3 options that you could possibly take. And if it's not a case of just me anymore saying, I've got land, it's mine, you could come here and be a part of it. You could either go off on your own, find a spot, dig out a hole, build a bed, build a den, find a cave, anything, and live like that. Or you could jump in a tent, go nomadic, move around, and just go from town to town, country park to country park, move around. Or if you're looking more for a community-based or a stepping stone to do either of those things, this would probably be one of the better places to start, because we've got the project that you're doing, or you have done, which we have the full knowledge to do here because we've been doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it.
And
just
also,
up the track there, aren't we?
exactly. And that's not that far away, is it? I mean, in all respects, for a case of a couple of minutes walk, it's there to show as a demonstration of, look, it can work.
Yeah.
This is how we've done it. Because obviously watching the YouTube is one thing. But there's always questions you go, but how's he done, how does that work? Or what if I wanted to do this? Or how would I go about doing that?
Yeah.
If there's something here that you can actually see and go, oh yeah, now I can see how I would do it, it's a good little stepping stone. But also it gives you the opportunity to see if you can tent it. I know there are a couple of people that are coming down, and what they're going to be doing is they're going to be coming down for 2 weeks, which is a bit of a short time, but these people aren't all physically able.
And also, I would encourage people to do that on the title, because a lot of people I find are worried about the winters. Oh,
Yeah.
how are you going to do the winters in a tent? Well, I would encourage you to come here and try it out in the winter in a
Yeah,
tent.
because it's a safe, secure environment where
and-
you're not alone.
And also, you do find means of overcoming that. You
Mhm.
know, like I've been doing it.
I started in the winter. Did you start in the winter?
Yeah, I was close to the winter. Yeah.
You were February
When
weren't
I
you,
moved
went
out,
there?
it was the
Winter.
February. Yeah, it was the middle of February 2018, and that was about when winter got some teeth. that
Yeah,
winter,
yeah, I remember, because
Snowed
you had the
shortly
snow
after,
we
wasn't
had.
it?
Yeah, we both had snow, didn't we? Because I remember watching your videos and you were there with the snow bank, and I was like, well, at least I'm not alone in this. And obviously you would have got the snow because you were out in the
no,
tent.
No, I think I was in Spain at that time.
Oh,
yeah,
lucky.
I'd missed that one.
Lucky.
Yeah,
But now I find that the longer you do it, you adapt.
yeah you do.
You do.
Yeah.
You weather into it. And I'll sit here now with a t-shirt on in this weather, and people around me will be all wrapped up in their sleeping bags, going, "Oh, it's freezing! It's
Also,
freezing!"
it
And I'm
doesn't
like,
take a lot to
"Really?"
prepare for that sort of thing as well. Like, it took me all this time to realise actually the perfect clothing to wear at that time of year is probably ski trousers, because A, it keeps in the warm, B, it keeps out the water.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and they can fold away quite compact, because people are used to taking them skiing on holidays.
And that's the
stuff,
key,
so-
isn't it? That's the key. Minimalising. That's where the key is, and I think people have a problem with that.
Particularly
They
if you're
can't.
moving around all the time,
Yeah.
minimising is important. Yeah.
But people have a problem with that. They can't let go of this materialism, and I'm still doing it now. And
Me too.
yeah,
If
I
you
still
can't
got-
take it to your grave, it ain't worth having.
well, I keep moving places, so everything gets reduced into boxes or into bags, and every time, even now, moving into this tent again, we've moved stuff out, and it's been all reduced again. We're losing boxes at a time, because
Every time you move, you'll
Yeah.
reduce your stuff.
exactly, and I think people need to take that first step by, and this is a big one for people, and it's the telly.
Yeah.
I find that most people start as a stepping stone in the farm to
Yeah.
get rid of the telly.
Yeah.
And then once the TV's gone, they find it easy. They start to think straight. Their brain clicks in, and they go, the TV's not telling them what they want anymore.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not saying, look at EastEnders, everybody has a telly. Look at Emmerdale, everybody's got a car. Look at this, everybody's doing all this. When that's
Everyone's
not so much
always
the
in
case.
the pub as well, isn't they?
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. Everybody goes to the pub. You know, it's in. Everybody has domestic violence. Everybody gets abused. Everybody's in toxic relationships. There's rapists and murderers and assaults happening all over the world. But
Well,
it's
apparently
not.
most of them hang out in the woods to call it.
Well, no, apparently most of them are on TV land, because it's like. I don't get where people get so sucked into it they believe that's real life.
It sounds so obvious to say it, but the TV is like, it's working through the back doors, you know.
Yeah,
you think
definitely.
You think you've
It
got your
creates fear.
well, you think you've got your defences up, and you think you know what you're being shown. So when someone's, you know, in an episode of Friends and they pull out a can of Pepsi, you're like, well, they're trying to sell me Pepsi. But it's all the other ideas that are going in through the back door subconsciously,
Yeah.
right? Most of the communication is being done.
Yeah, you notice the can of Pepsi, but what you don't really
Yes.
notice is that behind him is a certain brand of burger that you completely missed, and
Or
that's
no,
what
I'm
you
not-
buy from
yeah.
the supermarket.
Or even just the roles that certain types of people play in
Right,
society,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So it just kind of funnels you into a thing. So and you won't really. You can think you're smart and you can think that you're defended against these things, but until you literally cut the TV, the radio, the newspaper out, you don't know what it's like to think for yourself.
That's it.
I hate
Yeah.
saying that because it's kind of condemning people who watch the TV.
Well, it's not. It's just pointing out the obvious
I
truth.
It's my
find-
personal experience. I didn't realise how crazy the news was until I turned it off
Dan,
for
it's so
Yeah,
funny.
true.
several
I put it on
years.
for laughs.
I
now.
do. That's why I listen
put
to
it
the
on for
radio.
laughs, yeah.
And this is what worries me about this Extinction Rebellion, is that it's a great idea to rebel against the fact that we may or may not be going extinct in the name of climate change that could or could not be a thing. But it's opening the door to say we need change, for them to say, well, okay, all right, we'll just start charging people for air, because
Yeah.
that way everybody's going to be more resourceful when it comes to pollution, and you're not going to go out and drive a car so much if you have to pay your car tax, which has gone up, your road tax, which is ridiculously high anyway, but also now the air tax, where you're breathing in the air, and because there's so much pollution, you're paying more for air tax.
All that does
you know?
is like rich people who go, okay, well we'll pay that, and they'll keep driving the cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
People who
And
don't
we
have
won't.
extra
And we'll
money
be bound to
gonna
the
lose that.
cities. We'll be bound to the nearest points where there are doctors and resources and the amenities that we need.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
all the poverty
It's
stricken.
dependency on the system, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, I went to the Salvation Army for a little bit of help. I needed a food package. Their advice to me was, you don't want to be down this end. There's not a lot of resources this way. I knew that because I was out in the sticks. And they said, what you want to do is go into the town, the
Yeah.
nearest town, because there's loads of resources there. That's where all the homeless are. I said, oh, hang on a minute. I never said I was homeless.
You just needed
I'm
some
not
food.
homeless. I said, oh, I've got my home. It's on my bike. It's in, it's my tent. Also, you're not prepared to meet with the housing officers. And I said, no, absolutely not. I don't want to live in a house. Bang, the help stopped.
Yeah. And I found that as well.
You've got to take it our way, or we won't dish it out
That's
at all.
They said the same to me, that if I wanted help, I'd have to be on the streets. The fact that I was here on my own land. Well, one of their things was, why don't you sell the land? But unfortunately, even if I wanted to now, it is in trust, which means that is no longer an option.
And if you
because
did
it's
do
not
it,
trust.
you just have like
What would
a
I
bit
have?
of money for a short
Yeah,
period of time.
I'd be all right for
Yeah.
a year and a
Yeah.
half, and then I'd have to get a job. I'd have to work,
Be forced to get
be
back
forced to
into
pay
it. You'd be in the
those
system.
tax,
You'd
and I'd be in
have
the
to go
system,
in
and
the
then I
system.
would crack, and then I'd be doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So what would be the point in wasting my time doing that when I'm already here and I'm already open to what's happening out there? My goal now is I'm established, I'm in the trust works, we've got the electric set up, we've got a whole sort of community being built here.
Yeah.
There
Lots
are
of great
people,
people coming in
and there
all
are
the time.
people that need that reassurance that they're not alone, and this offers that to them. In that respects as well, it also offers the stepping stone to
Yeah.
go
To
off and
realise that you
do
can do
something.
this,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. So where do you see it? Where do you see yourself going in the next?
Personally, I think I am just going to keep going.
You're gonna
until,
keep going.
Yeah, I think one day I'll be this little old crow dragging along my stuff on a sledge or something, with my walking stick. I don't see it ever stopping. I mean, maybe, but then I don't rule anything out. I
No.
don't really have any
Just go
goals
with the
or
flow.
plans. Yeah.
You're sticking firm with your job. You've got your skylights to put in, electrics to set up,
Yeah, I've still got a lot more work to do on my place. I mean,
which you can follow, of course, on my frequencies, and you can
Yeah, I've
follow
got a playlist,
Tara
yeah.
on
My
Tactical Camper.
escapades,
I'll
yeah.
put the links in my video anyway, and I'm sure these guys will do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the big driver for me was immune system illness. It's like I knew I had to do these things, but would I have been motivated to do it if I didn't have that constant daily reminder? And that's the problem. I need to get to a point now where I've evolved and I've changed to this new level, this new frequency, that I no longer need that motivation from this pain. It's like a constant factor. So I think that going out in the woods and getting myself away from the Wi-Fi's and all the other frequencies and just all the energy, the confusion in town, right, which you don't really pick up on it until you start
Until you
to
get out.
Yeah, you start to pick up on it, and I don't know how to quantify it, but I know when I'm out in the woods, I can think clearly. I've got peace that I don't find it. And here, right, we're on the edge of a town here, but it's so much clearer, so much more healing. So I'm in a healing process. I don't see myself living in that wood permanently, and I do believe that at some point it's probably going to be discovered. They're going to come and clear that land, or
Log it, or
hopefully not.
See, that's the thing with myself. I think I get to a point where I will get bored. I will get bored of what I'm doing here, because if it was all for me, I would build what I want. And I've done this before, previously in the past, with the Roundhouse or with other projects. And then for me, it got to a point of I could show people this, and they could potentially feel the drive to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And I could also give a safe, secure space now that has everything that's needed for people to come together and discuss options and talk to people like yourselves, where they can say, I want to do what you're doing.
And exchange ideas.
Absolutely. But I think, and I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that, I know some people are in their vans or a boat or whatever, but I think we're the only 3 that are out there living this way in our
Amongst the
group,
trees.
which makes us the only 3 out of 70 plus which are involved in this. So it's not a network of people that live just this way, how we're doing. Otherwise, we'd be a network of 3, realistically.
Everyone's different.
Exactly,
I
but
don't
it's
care
what
how
they
you do
get.
it.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
do it.
They just, these other 60, 67 people, they all live in houses, bungalows, vans. They all live in they all have jobs, or because some of them have really important jobs. I mean, they're teachers, or they have to go into the system. That's by the by, when at the weekends or in their free time, they're not going out to the pubs, they're not feeding into that system, the revenue's not being produced. They come together as a community and they help build something new, because the old way's not working. So when we bring...
This is it. The system does have a lot going for it, and of course we all use it to different extents.
I've always said I'm not against the system, I'm just the
Yeah.
way that system's being run.
Yeah.
So we're just basically making a new system by
Yes,
building
exactly.
bridges with
That's
those
it.
who want to.
The system just doesn't have a future. The way things have been done doesn't have a future, and obviously the system's offering ways. Look, I'm changing. I'm doing carbon neutrality, and I'm doing
at
this.
the moment, the one that
Yeah.
exists.
It's
Let's
absolutely
face
fucked.
it.
There's going to be a lot of people who watch something like this and just think, "What are you guys talking about?"
Absolutely.
I love the system. I do
I
a
love
job that I
going to
enjoy.
work.
I get
I love
loads of
my
money. I
job.
go on a holiday all the time.
Yeah.
It's like that's fine. That's cool.
Yeah,
And you can,
That's
and
cool.
that's
But
what
for the
I've
people,
always said.
for the people who don't feel
Yeah.
that way about the system, there's an
alternative.
alternative, and we're
Yeah.
creating it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. There is no alternative, or there was never an alternative before. Anybody that wants to live in the system, live in the system. Live in your farm, and if you are in bliss, live content lives. That's fine.
That's cool.
But there was never an alternative for people like us, and I found that when I
And
thought
know
I'd
why
buy the
I know,
land.
because as soon as you start doing it, you realise how much is against you.
Yes,
To stop
yeah,
you from
yeah,
doing
they
it.
stop you
It's
doing
not
it.
until you
The
start
system
doing
is
something
forcing
the
you.
system doesn't want you to do, like stop paying tax or stop living in a conventional way.
Yeah.
That's when you start to feel the
Absolutely.
push of it.
They're
Like,
getting free water,
you're like,
they're
oh,
getting free electricity.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's
But
like
now,
it's
like you said, there
you see,
is an
you see the
alternative.
dark side of it or something, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And this is it. That is it. It is a dark side, and everybody's wandering around looking for the light. Everybody's looking around for a way out, looking for the hole in the fence, and there's never been one before. What we're doing is I've punched a hole in the fence, you've punched a hole in the fence, you've punched a hole in the fence, and us 3, with our holes in the fences, have now allowed 70 to 100 people that we know and have met. We've actually met these people.
Yeah.
It's not people that are interested online. They've actually put their
That's
first
the difference
foot
in it,
forward.
going from being in groups and just talking
Yeah.
about the end of the world to actually coming out to
Yeah.
the woods and
Absolutely.
building something
you
that's
can
going to
stand
survive the end
staring
of
at
the
the
world.
hole. You can stand there staring at the hole in the fence, or you can walk through it. And we've got 70 to 100 people now that have walked through the fence. They may go back through.
Yeah.
Eventually they go back through to the farm, but we've punched a hole in for them to keep coming, and they come back more and more, more and more. You know,
Yeah.
it is now a moving movement where the alternative is there. I think that's a great way. I think that's a great way
right,
to
yeah,
sign off. Where I think
Yeah.
the alternative is here. Either you want to go out and find a permanent spot of your own. What does it matter if you own the land? It didn't matter to my frequencies.
Yeah.
He went off and did it. Done.
Stay under the radar.
Exactly. If you want to go off and be nomadic, move around, and you think that maybe you're not strong enough, well, Tara's here.
I've got up hills and all sorts. With a
She's
Dutch
on
bike,
it.
you know.
She is a badass. And if you think that those 2 options are not for you just yet, and you want to ease into it and just see what it's about, then you can come here a week, a weekend, even a day, just to meet some people that may just open your eyes to a lot more than you've actually been seeing. I think for me, I'm going to sign off there, and I'm going to leave that there. Obviously, we've been aiming our sort of direct at who is out in the system right now, trying to encourage him to come out and join us and just see how it goes. But we are not the only 3 people in the country that are doing this. Maybe not even in the world. I mean, I've hooked up with people in Canada and also in Europe that are doing things like this. But we obviously, like you said, there are people out there that we are unaware of that could have their own holes in the fence. They've got out there, they've got holes in the woods, they've got tree houses in the woods. They're living out there now somewhere.
Make contact.
If you are, make contact. Just make contact, because if you've got a hole in the fence, it means you've got a way in and out. We've got our own ways in and out, and we can actually start connecting, building bridges and building this new system and making things alternatively. And from my perspective, if there's any landowners out there and you're not using it, or it's available,
Come forward.
come forward and say, if it's something that you're into, give it up. You're not using it. It's what I've done. I use a 10-foot by 12-foot square for me and my whole family. The rest of my acre woodland is community. If it's something that you're interested in, step forward as well, because this movement is moving with or without you. Best to get on the ship that isn't sinking. That's my advice. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Early
Nice.
days, yeah.
Done. Ah. Cool. Nice one, guys.
Yeah.
Nice one. Thank you.
Thank you.